Welcome, everybody, to a very positive Blue Jay Center podcast brought to you by the Sick Podcast Network. I'm James Price, along with my boys, Cole Whiston and Rob Pentelamon. Boys, it's been a blast. I can't wait to get it into with you guys. It's lots of good things. A 9-7 Blue Jays team. Not a fun watch, but they're 9-7, and we'll break it all down. There's so many things to talk about. Vladdy signed his contract. Let's just get this thing underway.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Blue Jays Center.
Bautista drives it deep left field. Gone!
The sickest Toronto Blue Jays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, fellas, before we get into anything Blue Jays related, I just want to give a shout out to the boys at Fan First Network. Cole and I were lucky to be a part of that yesterday and be on the ice representing Blue Jays Center. Let's just say we picked up a dub, knocked out the host team. Nonetheless, we appreciate them for having us out there. It was an absolute blast. Cole, I don't know about you, pal, but I'm hurting today, bud. I'm hurting.
This is my hand still from tying my skates yesterday for the first time in 4 years. So, yeah, and my entire upper half is very much in pain. This was getting the rust off, and I feel every consequence of doing that.
Battle scars, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
But exactly. It was when I think I can speak for both of us, Cole, and all of us at Blue Jays Center. We want to say thanks to those guys for giving us the opportunity to get out there and meet a bunch of people, and it was a blast. And hopefully we get the opportunity moving forward to touch base and do some more things with them because it was a lot of fun. Now, boys, 9-7 ball club, and I said it right off the top. It ain't been fun, but they're 9-7. Rob, general thoughts. Obviously, a good road trip overall, right? It started off horrifically, losing 3 in a row, getting swept by the Mets at Citi Field. It was downright pathetic in all instances. Bounced back with winning 3 of 4 against the Red Sox, and then somehow split a weird 2-game set against the Orioles since the rain out there on the Friday night. How are we feeling, pal?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Like you mentioned there, the second half of that road trip, obviously going into 2 AL East rivals ballparks and coming away with a very respectable outcome. Obviously winning 3 of 4 in Boston after many of us predicted them to be a very good team this year, even win the AL East. And obviously going to Baltimore, I was very fickle yesterday, I'll be honest, guys. Because here's the thing, for the audience, unlike you guys who were having fun, I was grinding for a property law exam, which is not as fun, definitely. So I was very fickle about the Jays. I'm like, we better get a win here, man. We better get a win because I need some good juju, some good vibes after that really rough loss on Saturday. And yesterday, the way that they closed that out, coming back and winning in extras, Miles Stroud with a big hit and Jeff Hoffman just throwing heat there. It was a good vibe. I would say that, I would concur with your point that in terms of the actual watch, from an aesthetic point of view, still a little tough to watch. Although we'll talk about that shortly. But overall, 9-7, considering this tough of schedule and how the road trip started, I think it's a positive outcome coming home to Vladdy signing day. Definitely, the vibes are good all around the ball club right now.
Yep, 4-5 on the road trip. I think if you would have told us that at the beginning, you would have said, "Oh wait, you're missing a game." But anyways, the point is, if you were right around 500 at the end of that road trip, you wouldn't have been too upset. If I would have told you you'd be first in the AL East at the end of the road trip, you'd be very happy, which in both cases are true. So I concur with you guys, despite the fact that they're not doing what we said they were going to be doing, which is hitting more home runs than they did last year. They are winning ball games, and at the end of the day, that is all that matters.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, right, we talk about it. It's not how you do it; it's how many you get. And how many times at the end of years have we talked about, this game here, this game there. Well, they're winning a lot of those games. Now, during this stretch, they've had a lot of those games where you pull your freaking hair out.
Yeah, they've also, exactly. They've also lost the game. Like, the games that they did lose on this road trip, a lot of them were you had no business losing that game. And specifically the sweep against Boston is probably that stands out on that road trip. You definitely had it in the bag, and then you pissed it away. And that would have gave you the winning record. On that road trip, so that's a big difference maker there. But luckily, you did win the series.
Here's what I'll say, guys, is that here's the thing: 9-7 is obviously a good record, but if you recall last year, they were a few games over 500 at around this time last year. Remember, I think they were 13-10 at one point, which is a similar winning percentage. But I don't know why. I feel a little bit more bullish on this team. And I don't know, maybe it's just you have some new guys. And obviously, Anthony Santander, who hit his first bomb, and he's going to hit plenty more bombs than we all hope and we all expect him to. And Vlad's obviously signed, so maybe the vibes around the ball club are better. But, the team just feels it feels a little bit more legit than it did last year. Because here's the thing about last year is that this year, while the offense has been tough to watch, it's not because of a lack of a pulse. You know what I mean? Like every inning, they're getting a ton of base runners. They're putting a lot of pressure on the opposing pitcher, and they're doing it against pretty good pitchers too. I mean, they beat Mackenzie Gore and Garrett Crochet so far this year, so it's not as if you're only teeing off, the Suganos of the world.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like the bottom of the order has a pulse. You're getting big hits from Tyler Heineman and Miles Straw, and the thing is, guys, is that as bad and as rough of a watch as the top of the order has been, there's just no way that they're going to combine for one home run over the course of 15, 16 games, whatever it is the rest of the way. So I think that there are reasons to be bullish on this team and their offense, despite the fact that it hasn't always been so rosy-colored positive so far. Yeah. I think I'm low-key kind of bullish, guys. I'll be honest with you.
To be honest with you, we're 1/10 into the season. I don't think that there's been any reason to, whatever opinion you had before game one, I think is fine to have that same opinion today. Obviously, you weren't expecting to go 16 games with the top three of the order only having one home run, but that is alleviated from the fact that you weren't expecting George Springer to be your best hitter so far 16 games in. So it's like the record 9-7, where you are in the standings, how we got here, like all of those things remain true. Remain true to your expectations before game one. So I'm with Rob. I don't think that there's a whole lot that's changed other than the fact that it just happened differently than what we were anticipating.
You know, it's hilarious. And I know that we all love the home runs, and who doesn't, and the slugging and the OPS and all that stuff. Let me just read these offensive categories. The Jays are third in baseball in hits, third in, close your ears, khaki nerds, third in batting average, sixth in OBP, 11th in OPS.
Yeah. We are also first in expected batting average. So we have been, exactly. We have been even more unlucky when it comes to just getting base hits. And then the stat that you forgot to mention, which I was shocked that you didn't mention, we're dead last in home runs.
No, I was going positive there. I wasn't going to bring that up because I think we all know that. Let's be honest here.
It feels like 2023 all over again, right? It feels like you have a team that, like their offense on a per at bat basis is actually pretty good. I mean, you look at your top 10, top 15, in just about every major offensive category, the raw numbers. But yet they don't score enough runs because, just like 2023, they didn't have enough home runs, and he didn't hit well in situational positions like the Blue Jays this year. Dead last in all of baseball and runners left on base. Bottom 5 in batting average with runners in scoring position. 23rd in OPS with runners in scoring position. Obviously, you mentioned there, Cole. Dead last in home runs hit. So they're getting guys on. They're definitely like putting a lot of pressure, and they're fun and they're exciting to watch from that regard. Small ball, but obviously when it comes to scoring runs, it's got to change. And I think it will, because ultimately I do think that there is enough talent where this is not going to be a bottom, literally the worst team in baseball when it comes to hitting home runs. There's enough talent there that they're better than, the Kansas City Royals and the Tampa Bay Rays of the world, who are good teams but don't have a lot of power.
Let's be honest. All we need them to be is in that 15 to 20 range. Like, just that's all I want. Like, just like
for home runs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I got two things. One, I think probably what's different from that 2023 team and why there's a reason to have optimism for positive regression here is the fact that we are 6th in hard hit balls this year. Not hard hit percentage, in hard hit balls. We are 6th in the league. So I think that that's probably not what you could have said about that 2023 team. So that's my first thing. Regarding where you need to be in the home runs, I want to mention this. It's no secret, at least to, I think, most baseball fans, that if you're going to win the World Series, you have to hit home runs. The last 5 years, you have to be top 5 in home runs. And 4 of those 5 years, they were top 3. The teams that won the World Series were top 3. Only once did that team fall outside of the 3rd, and it was 4th. So nobody finished 5th in the last 5 years.
And
if you go back all the way to 2012, basically you need to be top 15. It's a prerequisite. You have to be top 15 to be to win the World Series, except for the 2012 San Francisco Giants, who were dead last in home runs hit in the regular season, which is obviously an outlier. But James, your 15 to 20 range, I think, was bang on the money. That's what you need to be if you're going to go on a deep run. So the fact that the Jays are dead last, but they're only 8 home runs away from being 15th in the league, I think is the better way to look at it, given the fact that it's a small sample size so far, 16 games in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the start of the year, right? The numbers are going to be so skewed. They're going to be so tight. That's why you don't really want to look at standings and real stats for these small sample size. And that's a prime example of that. Like you mentioned, Cole, you have a good week and each guy, like 3 guys get hot and it's just like, oh, okay, now we're like 12th in home.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, are we great now? Like all of a sudden? So no, I get you. And the reason why this team is 9-7, like it's no
surprise.
Yeah, that's the right word.
Yeah, no surprise. Yeah, pitching and defense.
Yeah, when you are 8th in runs allowed, 6th in hits allowed, 6th in batting average against, 6th in ERA, 4th in WHIP, 10 in strikeout per 9, and
and
not bad.
And first in starting pitcher ERA.
I mean, geez, like that's it's a prime example, and your starters are doing a job because a lot of us going into the year, we're like, well, what are you going to get from another year of and either older of Kevin Gausman? Yep. Brio's pretty confident. In fact, he's had 2 of probably the worst starts they've had this year in the sense of the opener and the last game against the Orioles, both against the Orioles. Easton Lucas has given you incredible innings. Bowden Francis has been perfectly fine. Like he's doing his typical Bowden Francis thing. No hitter through 5, gives up a couple homers on 2 hits. And you're like, okay. Yeah. But the Jays offense stinks, so those are meaningful home runs.
Those are meaningful home runs.
No, they were. I think what's important is that when we were coming in, all of us were somewhat skeptical about the rotation, but not because we were unsure that there wasn't enough talent in the rotation, because there was enough talent. The only question is, will they be able to, in this rotation made up of guys who are on the other side of 30, be able to continue and push through and be effective for another year? But it was never because we didn't think that Kevin Gausman or Chris Bassett or Jose Barrios or Max Scherzer's hurt, but that they would just not be good anymore. They would regress. But ultimately, the fact that they're going out there and looking how they've looked so far, I don't think it's something you can point to and be like, yeah, this is not going to continue. Obviously, both Bassett and Gausman specifically have an ERA in that don't even have a 1 or something like that. It's something stupid like that. It's ridiculous. So obviously it's going to be worse than that. But I think you could be confident that both those guys in the rotation in general is going to be solid. It's going to be above average. I think that what they've been so far, obviously maybe not first in ERA, but I think they could be pretty damn good, man.
Let's be honest, boys. Pitching staff wise, there's a lot of things you trust. Yep. It's your rotation, and we talked about it with, I think it might have been Ennis, maybe Bunk. I don't know if it was maybe even both of them, but you know what you're going to get from your starters. Now, they are going above and beyond what you expected. We knew they were going to give us innings. You knew that for sure. You didn't know the quality of the innings, but they were giving you quality and innings. And the bullpen, other than our favorite topic, which is the lefty reliever, your right-handed relievers have been outstanding. Jimmy Garcia, and let's get to the talking point that's been get every Jays fan frisky recently, and that's Jeff Hoffman. Boys, you lose Jordan Romano going into the offseason. A lot of Jays fans were a little hurt. You bring in Jeff Hoffman, you hear all the reports about the Baltimore Orioles and the Atlanta Braves seeing a physical and being like, no, thank you. And then the Jays give him what? It was a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
And then a lot of Jays fans start questioning that. Okay, has he had that much closer experience? It's taken less than a month, boys. Jays fans are in love with him because he's gone two times in extras and just dominated, flexing on guys, kissing the Baltimore. It's just great, fellas. Cole, how are we feeling about Jeff, the Hassel Hoffman?
Hand up. You can watch back the clips. I was not high on this Jeff Hoffman signing. I especially wasn't high on letting go of Jordan Romano to get this Jeff Hoffman signing. And so far, through 16 games, I look just blatantly wrong. Jordan Romano has sucked in Philadelphia, and Jeff Hoffman has been absolutely electric in Toronto. On the top of the fact that he can go multiple innings, something we would not let Jordan Romano do. And if we did, it was in the absolute last resort scenarios. Jeff Hoffman looks like we can deploy him like Liam Hendricks was deployed, half a decade ago. So
another 2015 Blue Jay.
Yeah, exactly. He's been electric. I have nothing. You look at that Baseball Savant page, just all red. Yeah. I have nothing. I don't know what you could say about Jeff Hoffman other than the fact that he's exceeded expectations, in my opinion.
Rob, before you jump in here, the one thing that just allows me to breathe and take just a sigh of relief is I don't have to watch a guy and see 12 straight sliders. And I'm just thank God.
And he's not a guy that gives you a heart attack first. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out, but don't worry, we'll get out of it. Yeah,
nothing clean. Nothing clean was our motto for
Yeah.
Jordan Romano, despite him getting it done every time. Jeff Hoffman just gets it done.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say exactly, because here's the thing about Jordan Romano is that I've actually been one of the more vocal Jordan Romano defenders over his time in Toronto. I was one of the guys that said, yeah, no, like all this nothing clean BS. Like he gets the job done. Like you look at the numbers. Like he closes save opportunities as efficiently as just about any closer in baseball. Certainly in the top 5, and obviously it was a big part of why the Blue Jays were so successful those few years in terms of winning 90+ games and making it to the playoffs. But even I have to put my hand up and admit that, yeah, you know what? Maybe you guys had a point. We're watching Jeff Hoffman go out there and just basically just go 3 up, 3 down and shove guys and not give us any heart attack at all. Like, yeah, maybe you had a point. Maybe this is what it kind of should.
What an elite closer feels like,
yeah. No, and again, once again, like this is not a shot at Jordan Romano, because obviously, he's. I stand by everything I said. I think like the numbers suggest that he was elite when he was here, and obviously he's had a rough year for Philly so far this year. But yeah, no, I've been very, very impressed with Jeff Hoffman, and here, all of a sudden, I'm looking at this bullpen and thinking, this was a pretty big cause for concern coming in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously because of what it was last year, and it was abominable last year by all measure. Like there was no defending it. It was a horrible, horrible bullpen by all the facts. Like I can't underscore that enough. And now all of a sudden, the 8-9 with Jimmy Garcia and Jeff Hoffman. I mean, that's pretty damn good, man. That feels like it's comparable with just about any setup man closer combo in baseball right now.
Yep. I agree with that, and I think that if we're looking at something that we can, hang our hat on and maybe expect for the rest of the year, because through 16 games, that's almost impossible to do with any part of your roster. I think the bullpen might be the one where we can, go, you know what? Maybe this is something that we can expect for the rest of the year. And if we can expect that, then obviously that entirely changes our expectations. Because if we get everything else right, we're with where our heads were at, right? Offensively, from the rotation. If we get those right, but the bullpen is now all of a sudden a top 15, a top 10 bullpen in baseball, and our over-under was set at 19th in the league, this team will be in an entirely different conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely will be. Now, boys, we could talk about the pitching staff all day, and I know we're a little tighter for time today. So let's get to a pressing topic, because as much as they're 9-7, they're winning games, they got an elite closer, it feels like the bullpen's better than we thought, the rotation's exceeding expectations, the offenses should open a dating app for singles, because that's all they do. There's power issues. And Johnny Houston said, or Houston, I don't know, it says in the chat, do you guys think the power, especially at the top of the order, is a slight concern? I know it's a bit early, but when should we start to worry? I think it was the Bunkus pod today, or it was the morning show, one of the two. They talked about it today, and this is the longest Vladdy's gone in his career to start a season without a homer. Yeah. Obviously, Bo Bichette hasn't hit a homer, but both guys are, again, ripping singles all over the place. Is there when do you guys start to get concerned about it? Because I don't know, I'm starting to get there just a tad bit.
On the concern meter, probably 4 out of 10. Honestly,
yeah,
still relatively low, I would say, for me. Because here's the thing about Vlad is that all of this is kind of, we have evidence that this is not necessarily completely a marked departure from what we were used to. Like, you think of Vlad last year, he had like 4 home runs in late May. I mean, obviously he has 0, so he's on pace for 0 in late May this year. But obviously, like, you'd expect Vlad to have at least 4 home runs by then, and then he ended up with 30 in the end of the season. So we've seen Vlad have a 30 home run season despite starting like this. We've seen, obviously, it's well renowned now that Anthony Santander is a notorious slow starter, and obviously his career suggests that he gets going. And he's kind of started to do it a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more hard hit balls. Obviously, he had that home run in Baltimore, and then the next at bat, the one that Vladdy messed up on in terms of not tagging, he went to the warning track. That's a warmer summer day, a few degrees warmer. Perhaps that's out of the ballpark. And obviously that double that he ripped yesterday in extra innings. So, or pardon me, it was the 9th inning, I believe it was. So I'm not concerned. And obviously Bo Bichette's making good contact. He's hitting the ball hard. I imagine he'll start to find his seat as well. So obviously for right now, I'm still not overly concerned. I'm more annoyed than concerned, if that makes sense. That's because because like you have so many games that you could win. We have so many guys on base, and just can one of these guys just hit a 3-run bomb like they're supposed to and put this game out of reach?
3-run
Yeah,
bombs.
haven't hit a 3-run bomb yet this year. The Jays haven't hit one or a grand slam, obviously. But yeah, I would say so far in terms of concern, probably not too concerned yet.
I would say I'm even lower, to be honest with you, because of those facts. Like, you look at the Baseball Savant page, the under the hood numbers, whatever you want to call it, and all of these guys look good, except for Anthony Santander. But because of how long his career has been, I agree to just go with what history has suggested, which is if he is a slow starter, then he's a slow starter, and let's not get worried.
And recently it's been better. Like, recently he has hit the ball harder a lot more than that he's not.
Right. Let's worry when his career numbers are way better than what we are currently seeing. In terms of like the month that we're in. So that's, and then for Vladdy, the same thing. And for Bo, here's the thing. He's just not that guy. Like in his career, he hasn't been like the notorious power hitter. Like he's going to be at 25 at the end of the year, most likely. And he's had years he's played a full season and led the AL in hits and has been under 25 home runs. So I just think for that type of player, there's no reason to worry about him because that's not what we are expecting from Bo. We're expecting, a 300 average, a guy who's going to lead the AL in hits, and a 800 OPS. And if we can get that, then he'll be at around 15 to 20 home runs. And to get there, it's just like 2 to 3 good months of baseball. And at the start of the year in April, I don't think there's any reason for concern when it comes to home runs. Vladdy particularly, I think the one thing you can point to if you do look at the under the hood numbers, he's not barreling the ball up this year as what he's used to in previous years, and I think that for me that's the number one thing as to why you're not putting the ball over the fence. Obviously, once that starts to happen, we're gonna see a lot of balls go over the fence. And for Vladdy, he could go off for 11 in a month, and then all of a sudden this is a mute conversation. So I would say I'm even lower than 4. I would say probably a 2, and it's simply because these games would have been nice to win because you might need them at the end of the year.
Sorry, Pricey. I was gonna say an underrated fact is that with George Springer performing how he's performed, obviously let's hope that this injury that he sustained yesterday is not too serious. But if he's gonna be a competent league average, above league average hitter, which is the start has suggested it might be. I mean, all of a sudden that's not a guy that you can count on to be a legitimate, force multiplier in your lineup. Like maybe not the
20
player
home
he
runs,
was. But exactly. Like a guy who could legitimately be if he's a 110 OPS plus guy, that's a legitimate above average hitter who you can play every day. And obviously Dalton Varsho's coming back. Dalton Varsho not as from an efficiency standpoint is not going to be probably an above league average hitter, but he can hit the long ball. You look at the last 3 seasons. He's hit close to 70 home runs in the last 3 seasons. So that's 20 plus right there in terms of an average. So I think that there's power coming beyond just the top 3 guys who we've beaten to the ground for so long so far.
Exactly. I think that's a great point to make because I think people through 16 games have forgotten that Dalton Varsho is still on this baseball team. And when he comes back, we are adding automatically a 5-4 player into that lineup, and that includes hitting the long ball. So I think that is a very underrated point to the start of the season.
I'll make it very simple for people because I know people like to crap themselves a week in or a month in or whatnot. Remember the guy in the off season that everyone was going bananas over? The guy that, God, people were willing to pay their mortgage for. Hey, you want this? Take it. Blank check. Take it. Sign it.
Soto?
How many home runs does he have this year? You know what? You know, Rob? Do you know how many homers he got?
He's got at least one. I know he's got one.
He's got one.
Yeah.
Oh,
one.
that one on
opening week. And you know when he hit that home run?
Opening week in Houston. Yeah, second game of the season.
Year.
Yeah,
right.
Second game of the year, yeah.
So if that guy's got one ding dong, and it's been what? Getting close to a month now at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think there's time to worry. I'm sitting in the 3 spot with you guys.
For the record, I would still be willing to pay the whole mortgage on Juan Soto if that was an option. For the record.
If we could fast forward or rewind back to giving him $765 million, I still would have said yes.
If that was available, go for it. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, I no doubt. I mean, I'm still sitting there in the best hitter in baseball mindset. Absolutely. We can have that debate.
Yeah, we can have that debate.
Offensive player in baseball, absolutely.
Well, since it's not October, it's probably Aaron Judge.
I still, if we want to have the debate, it's Aaron
Not
Judge
regular
and
season, right?
Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani before he get the
Now
walk.
here's the thing: once we get to October 1st, and Aaron
And
Judge
even
moves
Bobby
down
Witt.
quite a bit. Moves down quite a bit there. Anyways,
Yeah.
what do we got? What do we got next, Bryce?
You don't just play till October, then stop. It's not how it works in sports, baby. All right, fellas. Where are we going next? I'm exhausted. It's a long.
Well,
we talked about the rotation.
That's right. We're gonna talk about this upcoming
Homestand.
series. Unless you guys want to talk about anything else, we could briefly touch on George Springer, but I mean, we don't know anything yet.
I do want to say one thing. I kind of alluded to our last substantive podcast. Last podcast we obviously talked about Vladdy, but the one before, and I mean, it's not necessarily Jays related, but like it kind of is in the sense of AL East. But like, guys, fellas, I know that the Orioles rotation is banged up, but like, remember how the Jays rotation is better by a mile. By a mile. It's like substantially better. You look at the guys the Orioles are throwing out there. I mean, like we overrated in terms of like what the Orioles are in terms of them being like the playoff, position and the beast of the AL East and all that stuff. Because I honestly, I'm watching these 6 games against the Blue Jays. I don't see a team that's markedly better. I'm being honest with you.
I went into this year, not being an Orioles fan, but being kind of like, hey, like great young core. Love Rutschman, love Gunnar Henderson, just phenomenal players. You lost Corbin Burns at the front of your rotation. You put Zach Eflin in front of him. I'm sorry. There's no comparison.
Buddy, Sugano's the 4th starter. I mean, I'm watching that guy. I'm like, this guy can't beat you with anything. He can't beat you with anything, man. And like, we left him off the hook. That could have been a 6-7 run game. If like,
sure, but you're playing the Blue Jays offense where it's singles
exactly.
galore.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, that I don't know how that's going to work long term. Obviously, it's not an Orioles podcast, but like, if I'm not so sure about the Orioles, guys. I'm putting my stake in the claim right now. Like, I'm not certain about them. I had them finishing last in the AL East at the start of the year, and like, I don't know. I might not move off of that.
Damn. Attaboy. All right. Well, let's preview this upcoming homestand.
Probably to say something. What's up?
Oh,
nobody was high on the Orioles because of the rotation. The offense hasn't lived up to expectations yet.
Buddy, they were projected to make the playoffs. What are we talking about?
No, but nobody was high on the Orioles because of the rotation.
Because of the rotation. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
they
enough.
were going to win the division. They were just, the division's up for grabs, boys. I just think there's a lot of fraudy teams in this division, including us. But let's start talking about what's next, boys, because the past is the past. And we got a homestand now of 2 series. You got the Braves and the Mariners coming to town. The Braves have been pathetic. They have been downright putrid. I think they're 4-11 on the season to start the year. They're awful.
Now.
What's that?
I said that until now.
For me, 8-8 Mariners who love to be just as mid as anything as always. But do not take that Braves team lightly. You got Wellenbach and Spencer Strider coming off the IL.
Something tells me they're better than their 4-11 record.
Yeah.
Something tells me the Jays are going to find out.
Very quick.
It'll be a very tough series.
They'll be figuring it out in about half an hour from now. We'll see how that one goes. But, boys, how are we feeling going into this set? I mean, obviously, Braves are – you can't look at the record. You look at the matchups. You got Easton Lucas going today, which again, as much as been a great story, we're kind of all just holding our breath because we're like bracing for impact because you're waiting for it. And Grant Holmes is going for them in game 1, and then game 2 is Gosman versus obviously Schwellenbach, who's been just incredible.
He's their version of Bowden Francis, the way he's pitched. Inexplicably dominating.
Much better, but
way better.
Yeah. No, actually, I mean, if you look at their ERA, since the All-Star break of last year, they're I think they're 2-3. In baseball.
Yeah, but the difference between Bowden Francis
pitcher,
I
agree he's a better pitcher, but
he's supposed to be something. Yeah.
I'm just saying, in terms of what we've seen, Bowden Francis take no hitters into the 6th inning every start for the last however many starts.
I know
Spencer Schwellenbach has been on that tier, on par without Bowden Francis.
On par, but this year he has not gotten burned Bowden Francis did. He's been lights out and finished the job every start. He's been he's like a 0.7 ERA, right?
0.45.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
19 punch outs to 2 walks. He has been elite.
Doesn't strike anybody out though.
19 punchies in 20.
Case per 9 below, so it's not bad. It's not terrible.
Yeah,
but it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough.
He's faced 2 very good teams as well. You got the Padres and the Phillies in there as well in a couple of his starts. I throw in the Marlins there. Shout out, Rob. Pretty bad. But the finale of the series on Wednesday afternoon, it's Bassett versus Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
What's this? It's Quadzilla is the nickname.
Here's the caveat, though. It's a Spencer Strider first start off.
It's going to be very small inning.
I'd imagine probably like he probably doesn't go into the 5th inning.
Yeah,
unless he's like
no shot. I think there's a pitch limit for him, and that's where they hard cap it there. But regardless, seeing Quadzilla for his first start back in Toronto would be pretty cool. But how are we feeling going into this, boys?
Here's what I'll say is that I've actually prefer to have a schedule like the Blue Jays have had so far, where you have a tough schedule at the beginning, because like the reality is that in baseball, the best version, the strongest version of a good team is always after the deadline, and the weakest version of a bad team is always after the deadline. So you'd rather have a front-heavy schedule and obviously navigate like the Blue Jays have, where to stay above water, great. What you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and then later on, kind of have an opportunity after the All-Star break to beat up on teams after they've sold off, after guys have been checked out because the team is no good. So, and right now you're seeing what a small sample size looks like. I mean, the Braves were projected by many to win that division, and rightfully so, because they have a great roster on paper. And obviously, right now they're very vulnerable in terms of coming into Toronto. And hopefully, that switch doesn't flip right here in this series. But ultimately, right now, you'd much rather face the Braves team in this current state than you would in August, when they're going to be, have Acuna back, have Marcell Ozuna back, and they're going to be right in the thick of a playoff chase, because obviously, like, that's going to happen. The Braves are going to bounce back from this. So I think that this speaks to the benefit of facing a front-heavy schedule right away, because you have a chance to take advantage of some vulnerable teams. We saw this last series, the Red Sox, another team that was kind of in a vulnerable state when the Blue Jays went in there and went 3-4. That Red Sox team, I bet you right now, guys, 2 weeks when they come to Toronto, they're going to look a lot better than they did at Fenway this past week. So right now, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling like, this is obviously a very difficult opponent, and obviously it's going to be very difficult to win this series, but I think it's doable. I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah, you mentioned a great point, Rob. Sorry, Cole, to jump in there. But you mentioned the schedule being tough to start. Yeah. Rob's the schedule guru when it comes to past games and stuff that's happened. Was it 2023 where they had that's like August and September of like Oakland, Colorado, Oakland, and then it was like a disaster.
The Royals, and it was the Royals. It was the game that Cole Reagans melted down like after he was shoving for the first 6 innings.
Airmailed everything. I remember that. So it's a great point. Having these tough schedule to start, just rip the damn Band-Aid off, get it over with when teams are struggling. How many times we've played the Astros early in the year and they've been no good to start? And you're like, just 2-3 right there, and you look at down the road.
World Series that year,
right? Right. So it's very important. Cole, what do you got?
I feel better about this homestand than I did about going into that road trip. So I think that's a good way of putting it, because we were all called that the gauntlet, and then we came out, not above water, but at water level at the end of it. And I think that just given the fact that where these teams are, like you guys mentioned, that's why I feel good about it. Plus, like, at some point, the under the hood numbers are going
to be better.
So, like, I expect at some point we're going to get a game where we hit 5 home runs in a game. And I think at home you have a better chance of doing that. So I feel good. Today was obviously Vladdy Day. He's making his first appearance as an official Toronto Blue Jay for life in the Rogers Center. So I think that the vibes will be high today. So I hope that a switch can be flipped for us, where our expected stats can become more of a reality.
All right, boys. Yeah, I think we're going to probably wrap it up there. But boy, Jays fans, if you're watching it live, you'll know that, in about, what do we got here? About 20 minutes time, Grant Holmes and Easton Lucas will be taking on each other, I guess, as the Braves are in town against the Blue Jays at 7:07. The fellas look to start stringing some wins together, because the AL East is just a mishmash of just mid right now. Everyone's trying to find their footing. Jays are 5-5 in their last 10. Yankees 5-5. Red Sox 5-5. We're all just kind of sitting here. Get a little win streak going. Good things will happen. Maybe it starts tonight. Well, I guess you would have been your first streak would start tonight. All right, boys. So as for myself, James Price, Robin Tillemont, Cole Wiston, we appreciate you listening and or watching. And for Shane and behind the scenes, appreciate you as always, pal. And as always, go Jays.
Go Jays.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Blue Jays Center on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.